عندما تسمع اسم محمد ماذا يفعل بقلبك هذا الاسم؟ ماذا يفعل بقلبك هذا الاسم؟ ماذا يحرك في قلبك؟ سيدنا بلال عندما انتقل الحبيب صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى الرفيق الأعلى، هذه القصة حسنها غير واحد من الحفاظ، لما انتقل المصطفى إلى الرفيق الأعلى لم يستطع بلال أن يحتمل البقاء في المدينة، لأن كل شيء فيها يذكره بمواقف كانت بينه وبين المصطفى، فارتحل إلى أرض الشام، إلى هذا البلد المقدس المبارك الذي دعا له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، إلى دارية قريبة من دمشق، وتزوج هناك. ثم استيقظ ذات يوم وهو يبكي، فسألته زوجته: ما يبكيك؟ قال: رأيت رسول الله البارحة. هل يعني لك شيء إذا سمعت كلمة رأيت رسول الله؟ تحرك في قلبك شوق إلى أن تراه؟ هو قال كما في البخاري ومسلم: من رآني في المنام فقد رآني حقا. لا، ما قالها عبثا، ما قالها إلا ليحرك في قلبك هذا المعنى. رأيت رسول الله البارحة يقول: يا بلال ما هذا الجفاء، أما آن لك أن تزورنا؟ خرج زائرا. في قصة عظيمة منها أنه لما وقف بكى ولم يتمالك نفسه، لقيه سيدنا الصديق رضي الله عنه: يا بلال هل أذنت لنا كما كنت تؤذن لرسول الله؟ فقال: اعذرني يا خليفة رسول الله، والله ما استطعت أن أؤذن بعد وفاته، أي في المدينة. كنت إذا انتهيت من الأذان آتي إلى حجرته وأقول: الصلاة يا رسول الله، والآن كيف أقولها؟ سيدنا عمر يعتذر له، فيقبل الحسن والحسين، أحدهما في 8 والثاني في 7، سيد شباب أهل الجنة، فيعتنقهما ويبكي، يشتم فيهما رائحة جدهما، فيسألانه أن يؤذن، فلا يستطيع أن يقاوم الطلب، ويصعد على المكان الذي يقف كان عليه أيام رسول الله يؤذن ويؤذن. لما قال: الله أكبر الله أكبر، ضجت المدينة. الله أكبر الله أكبر، صاح الناس في البيوت: أبعث رسول الله؟ تذكروا الصوت الذي كان يؤذن في أيامه صلى الله عليه وسلم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. خرج الرجال من بيوتهم وخرجوا من أسواقهم: أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. خرجنا العذارى من خدورهن، الرجال والنساء خرجوا إلى طرقات المدينة يضجون: أبعث رسول الله أبعث رسول الله. فلما وصل بلال إلى قوله: أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، خنقته العبرة وما استطاع أن يكمل أذانه، ونزل من على المكان الذي كان يؤذن منه. قال الراوي: فما عرفت المدينة يوما أشد بكاء وعويلا بعد يوم وفاته كيوم قال فيه بلال: أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. هذه القصة أوردها الله على اللسان الآن في هذا المجلس لنستشعر كلمة أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، الذي لولاه ما عرفت الأذان ولا عرفت الصلاة ولا عرفت لا إله إلا الله، الذي لا يتم إيمانك حتى يكون هو أحب إليك من نفسك، لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من نفسه التي بين جنبيه، الذي جعل الله حبه سبحانه وتعالى مرتبطا به، ما جعل الله حبه مرتبطا بأحد من خلقه إلا سيدنا محمدا. قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني، والثمرة يحببكم الله. لا يثبت لكم فقط أنكم أحببتم الله، بل ترتقون إلى رتبة الله يحبكم فيها. فإذا سمعت المؤذن 5 مرات في كل يوم يكرر أشهد أن محمد رسول الله، تعرف تقول أشهد أن محمد رسول الله بعده ترديدا كما هي السنة، بقلب حاضر، بقلب يستشعر الصلة بهذا الجناب الشريف، بهذا الحبيب المحبوب صلى الله عليه وسلم. تعرف تقول رضيت بالله ربا الذي أرسل إلي محمدا، تعرف تقول رضيت بالله ربا وبسيدنا محمد نبيا وبالإسلام دينا. فإذا قال المؤذن حي على الصلاة.
Describe him to me. And Muslims, look at the description of your Rasul. And for some this would be the first time you hear what your Prophet looked like. I saw a man of striking appearance. ظاهر الوضاء أبلج الوجه, radiant face, حسن الخلق, beautifully created. لم تعبه الثجلة, his belly wasn't protruding. ولم تزر به السعلة, nor was his head disproportionate and small. wasimun qasim, proportionate and delicate, finely made, a specimen of a creation. Fi aynayhi da'aj, in his eyes there was a contrast. The dark was immensely dark, the white was excessively white. Wa fi ashfarihi watf, and his eyelashes were long. وَفِي صَوْتِهِ صَهْلٌ, and in his voice was a natural echo. وَفِي عُنُقِهِ سَطَعٌ, and his neck was elegantly long. وَفِي لِحْيَتِهِ كَثَاثَةٌ, his beard was full and thick. أَزَجْ أَقْرَنٌ, his eyebrows were arched, but they were not joined. It was separated. In Samat فَعَلَيْهِ الْوَقَارِ, when he was silent, dignity covered him. وَإِن تَكَلَّمَ سَمَاهُ وَعَلَاهُ الْبَهَاءِ, and when he spoke, it was audible and clear, almost commanding and overtaking. أَجْمَلَ النَّاسِ وَأَبْهَاهُمْ مِنْ بَعِيدٍ, from afar, the most striking and outstanding in appearance. وَأَحْسَنُهُمْ وَأَجْمَلُهُمْ مِنْ قَرِيبٍ, and when he came near, the best of them and the most handsome of them in closeness. حُلْوُ الْمَنْطِقِ, such an exalted and sweet level of logic. Like when he used to speak, it was so coherently logical, it was smooth and easy to understand. فَصْلٌ لَا نَزْرٌ وَلَا هَذْرٌ, he was to the point, not excessive, nor too short. كَأَنَّ مَنْطِقَهُ خَرَزَاتُ نَظْمٍ يَتَحَدَّرْنَ, his logic, his utterances, his words were like jewels coming out of a necklace, calculated, polished, one after the other, it would flow magically. رَبْعَةٌ, he was medium in height. Your eye didn't have to strain to look up at him, nor was it tedious to look down at him. He was a comfortable sight to look at. لَهُ رُفَقَاء يَحُفُّونَ بِهِ, he had friends, the people that were with him, they were working around him to try to serve and protect him. In قَالَ سَمِعُوا لِقَوْلِهِ, when he used to say something, they used to hearken to what he used to say. وَإِنْ أَمَرَ تَبَادَرُوا إِلَىٰ أَمْرِهِ, when he commanded, they used to compete to fulfill the command. This is Muhammad Rasulullah. This is Muhammad Rasulullah. Anas ibn Malik says, he says, I came out one night, I came out one night, it was the full moon night. And I looked at the moon, and in the desert, understand, the moon is an awesome sight. It is smooth, it is radiant, it is clear, it is gentle compared to the scorching sun at which they are used to. So the moon was the epitome of beauty. So he says, I came out at a full moon night and I looked at the moon and I saw it beautiful, handsome. So I said, let me go see if the moon is more handsome or my prophet is more handsome. Let me see if that is more beautiful or the prophet is more beautiful. So I went and I saw him standing afar. So I looked at his face and I looked at the moon, and I looked at his face and I looked at the moon, and I looked at his face and I looked at the moon, and he said, Wallahi, he was more handsome than the moon in its entirety. That is just the look of your Rasul. Aisha radiyallahu anha says, I was sewing with the needle. My needle dropped in the dark. I couldn't find it. I said, Ya Rasul, I can't find it. He moved his face close, and I swear, out of the radiance of his face, I found my needle. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was mind-bogglingly handsome. But his handsomeness was covered with waqar and jalal and hayba. The Sahaba say, when we used to sit at his feet, two feelings conflicting would come on the heart. The first one, you wanted to look at him. You wanted to behold the majesty of his face. And when you wanted to look up, shyness used to overtake you, so you used to look down. Amr ibn al-As says, I sat with him many times, but if you ask me to describe his face, I can't describe it. I wouldn't be able to look up to him ijlalan wa ta'zeeman. I couldn't look up at him. And that is why he didn't have the problems that Yusuf alayhi salam had. Because it was difficult to penetrate the awe and the splendor of the Rasul.
Powerful speeches, especially the second and the third one. Have we heard the contents of those speeches before? Some parts of it. The story of Bilal radiallahu anhu, did we hear that story before? Many times. And even the beauty of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the moon and the face of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, did we hear that story? Many times. Did those stories that we heard, those presentations, did it move us as these two moved us today? These, when you look at them, when you hear them, they bring tears to your eyes, isn't that so? So what's the difference between these presentations and those hundreds of presentations we've heard? It's the same, contents is the same, isn't that so? What's the difference? Difference is the presentation. In public speaking, there's two things. One is the contents and the other is the presentation. You can have the best contents in the world, but you could bore the audience to death. And you could have very little contents, but you could keep the audience spellbound for hours. What's the difference? Were these two speakers, even Sheikh Deedat, were they born eloquent speakers? Were they born like that? The mother gave birth to them and they were fantastic speakers? No. Lots of effort, lots of practice, lots of sacrifice, lots of hard work, lots of sweat. Now when they give talks like this, does it have an effect on the hearts of the audience or not? Definitely. Definitely. We've learned a lot here in the past 2 weeks. We've got the contents. But for us to get it into the hearts of the audience, a lot of work is required on our part. You agree with that? So are we going to go from here? We've got the notes, we're going to leave it on the shelf, and then tell everyone how nice it was at IPCI for the 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Is that what we're going to do? Then it's a waste of time. Then you wasted your time, you wasted IPCI's time, you wasted everyone's money. If you want to get benefit from it, then you need to imbibe it. You need to go back. All the notes you've got, you've probably been given video cassettes as well. Sit down with them, read them, listen to them, see them, internalize them. Discuss it with your family members, discuss it with your colleagues, discuss it with your friends. When you're going to do that, then you will benefit from it. You must put it into practice. When you put it into practice and you start teaching others, then you get the most benefit. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. You're wasting everyone's time. We agree? Yes. So do we make a commitment that when we go back, wherever we come from, that we're going to be serious about this deen of ours? We're going to have the correct intention. And in order to get through to your audience, there's three things required. Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had this. Firstly, you must have conviction in your message. Do we have conviction in the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do we have conviction in it? Do we? Secondly, we must speak with the correct intention. If we have the correct intention, then we'll be able to get through to the audience. And thirdly, we must be convinced about the message. Firstly, you must be speaking the haqq. Secondly, the intention. And thirdly, we ourselves must be convinced about the message. Did Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam have the three? Was there haqq in what he spoke? Was there? Did he have the correct intention? And was he convinced in his message? That's all you need. You don't need to be a great orator. You don't need to have the greatest vocabulary. All of us have got some things that you might feel that you're not 100% competent. Doesn't matter. If you have these three things, if you have conviction in your message, if it is haqq that you are speaking, and if you have got the right intention, your words will get into the heart of your audience. Overcoming nervousness. How many of us are nervous when we speak? Raise your hands. How many of us? How many of us are nervous when we speak in public? Most of us, mashallah. Okay, so how do you overcome nervousness? There were many surveys carried out, but two that I have had access to. One was conducted by the London Times and another in America. And they asked the people, what is your greatest fear in life? And both these surveys found the number one greatest fear in life was public speaking. Death came about 5 or 6. Death, fear of death. Public speaking was number one. Any surprise? No surprise. Right? So that's reality. To be nervous is natural. We have to accept it, but we have to work on it. Fight or flight, there's two things when we are nervous. Either we can run away, flight, or we can stand there with a wall at our back and fight it. One of the two things. Right? People like to take this is the easier way out, quite often. But we need to fight it, right? When you fight it, that is when you will see the results. So, what do you think are some of the reasons for people being nervous? What do you think?
Sometimes because of the language.
Because of language barriers, correct? Any other reason?
Stuttering.
Stuttering.
Not being prepared.
Not being prepared.
Maybe the audience, they're better than you.
Audience might know more than you, correct? Sometimes it might be your ustads are sitting there, isn't that so? Your teachers might be there, your principal is there.
Low self-esteem.
Low self-esteem.
How is the audience going to comment on your speech?
Correct. You're not sure of how your speech is going to be received by the audience. Any other reasons?
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure, correct. Anything else?
Perhaps just being booed off the stage.
Just being booed off the stage. Okay. Has it happened to you?
No. I'm thinking of Zuma when Mandela died, you know?
Oh, correct. That's true. That's true.
Audience themselves.
Afraid of the audience themselves. Okay, these are some of the reasons for being nervous. So fear of being, what about fear of being stared at? Are we used to people staring at us? We're not used to it, right? Some of us are very shy. That's why when I ask the ulama whether they stand or they sit when they give talks, some of them say we stand, some of them say we sit. So when those who sit, I ask them, but why do you sit? And some of them actually say, because in order to overcome nervousness, in order to not be stared at. If you're standing, people can see you more than if you are sitting. Right, so that's one of the things. Okay, so fear of being stared at, correct? Fear of failure. You're not sure whether you're going to succeed or not. You're not sure whether you're going to be booed off. You're not sure whether your message is going to be accepted by the audience or not. Fear of rejection. Fear of the unknown. Right, you're not sure. So, can these fears be overcome? Can they be overcome? How can they be overcome? How can they be overcome? Stay. Someone keeps on looking at you. Right. So how can they be overcome?
I wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
And for stuttering.
For stuttering. Okay. See, some people have got problems, some problem or the other in speaking. So even if you are stuttering, it's not really a problem. after a while, the people will come to know that you are stuttering and you carry on. We did a presentation in Eastern Cape for the ulama. One of the audience, an alim, his speech was very slurred, even worse than stuttering. You had to strain your ears to listen to him. So he had to speak loudly, but whilst he was speaking, we could understand him, right? Because he was making the effort. So what he said was, what I did was, the fact that I got slurred speech is something I just can't do without. I think so it was a physical problem, right? I can't do without, so I accept it. And when I speak to the audience, they accept that I've got a slurred speech. So I have to be speaking slowly, loudly, and clearly in order to get through to them. And what he also does is sometimes he jokes at his own speech, laughs with the audience at his own speech. So with the result, then he gets the audience on his side, right? If you got a slurred speech, then there are ways in which one can rectify it. So you need to speak to people who know about rectification of slurred speech. There are people who can help you, medical profession and others, they can help you. But even if you are slightly slurred in speaking, it doesn't matter. The main thing is, if you are speaking from the heart, you will get into the heart of the audience. That's the main thing. You have to be sincere. There was once a lady, she was giving a talk, and she was an expert on marital disputes, how to get the couples together. So she was going to make a presentation to quite a big audience. Shortly before then, she had gone through a divorce. So a person who's an expert on marital disputes went through a divorce. Now what does she do? Does she go and make a presentation, or does she cancel it? She decided to go and do it. So she went there, the audience waiting for her to speak. The hall was full. She stood in front of them, and she confessed to them the marital problem that she had, that recently I went through a divorce. I'm supposed to be an expert on this topic, but I've been through a divorce. And she broke down in tears. She started crying. The audience started crying with her. When she was able to compose herself, she gave that talk, and she said that was the best talk in my life. She accepted it, right? There was one person, it was one of the Tablighi Jamaat programs. There was an old man, they told him to give a talk. I don't know whether he gave talks before or not. So he stood up in front of the musallis. And when he was about to speak, there was no voice coming out of his mouth. The words could just not come out of his mouth. So he stood in front of them silently with tears flowing down his cheek. And the audience also, they began to cry with him. He didn't utter a word. They began to cry. And then immediately after that, they started taking names for brothers to go out in Jamaat. Everyone in the audience picked up their hands. Right? So what was that? Sometimes there's eloquence in silence. Eloquence means beautiful speaking, right? Sometimes there's eloquence in silence. A person could sit, he might say nothing. You go to these halkas or khankas of the mashayikh. Sometimes there's a great big speaker who's down, and he's speaking, sitting in front of his murids. He's sitting there, not uttering one word. But the audience, they are enamored just by his presence. So without even uttering a word, he's able to get through whatever is in his heart to their heart. Love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love for Rasulullah. See? So, lots of people have got some speaking impediments or the other. That's fine. Accept it, live with it, try and improve. If not, accept it, live with it. But if you have sincerity in your heart, you'll be able to get into the heart of the others. Right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Let us resume. So we've got the reasons for nervousness. Now, I must always remember, see, in these presentations, we don't show you how to kill the butterflies, but we show you how to make the butterflies fly in formation. In other words, every one of us at some stage or the other will be nervous, right? So the presentation, the purpose of this segment of the presentation is that you're not going to get rid of your nervousness totally. There will be some nervousness you're going to have. In fact, it's good to be nervous as well, to a certain extent, right? So that is the purpose of this segment of the presentation. So how do you overcome nervousness? So I've listed them as 7 P's, and there's another about 13 or 14 points. I'll give you about 20 or 21 different ways of overcoming nervousness, and you'll see whatever applies to you, then you implement it. Now, what's also important is, you see this here, all P's. Now, in presentation, normally in the 2-day presentation, we go into the details, but something that will be useful for you as well. In order to prepare your presentation, and when you go to speak, you're not going to take your prepared speech with you. Sometimes you just take cue cards, and there's notes of cue cards in the book. And on one card, could be the size of this tin here, right? So you just have the main point. So I could have these 7 P's and just with one word next to it. Now in English, what this is called is, this is alliteration. Alliteration is all the same letter of the alphabet. Or sometimes you get different letters of the alphabet. It could be like A, B, C, D. So I could summarize my entire speech just using an acronym. Acronym is like A, B, C, D, or in business you get SMART. Smart way to evaluate, S-M-A-R-T. Each letter stands for a particular word. So in public speaking, what you need to do also is you can have these acronyms, alliteration, and so forth. So I'm going to give you 1 or 2 examples. So P's, I could just have on one card, if I'm talking about how to overcome nervousness. And on the card, I could just have the 7 P's and just one word next to each P, and I'll know exactly what it is. And I could speak to you for 2 or 3 hours, right? So you don't have to have your entire speech written out next to you. So let's look at these 7 P's, and I'll give you other ways of overcoming nervousness. Firstly, start with prayer. It gives you peace of mind and confidence. Essential. Before we start our presentation, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make 2 rakat nafil salah, and pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you are doing this for His sake, right? So ask Him for assistance and you will get the assistance. In the book, there's various different type of du'as, and I will be showing you 2 or 3 in a moment. Secondly, be punctual. Arrive earlier than on time for any of your presentations. Why is this so?
So that you can familiarize yourself with the surroundings.
Correct. Familiarize yourself with the surroundings. Anything else?
So you can practice your speech while the audience are not there.
Right. Maybe if you get a chance, you can practice your speech. Generally, that's a bit difficult.
Prepare your equipment if you have it, like you when you came earlier with a PowerPoint and a computer.
Sorry to do?
When you came earlier to test the PowerPoint.
Correct. To test the equipment. Correct.
Sometimes so that you can see what kind of audience you're having, either young or old or middle age.
Correct. So there's various reasons why it is necessary for you to come early. But as far as nervousness is concerned, the reason why you do not want to come late or just on time is because if you come just on time, can you prepare psychologically, mentally for your presentation? No. So you come a little early. As some of you mentioned, you have a look at your venue, have a look at your audience, go and greet your audience. Did I greet you when I came in? Greet you, I spoke to you, asked you where you're from, etc. So you greet your audience, you break the ice between you and the audience, and you have time to relax. If you're going to be coming just when the presentation is starting, then you're going to be all flustered, you're going to be excited, and it builds up your anxiety, right? So you can come, take a seat. Sometimes you can walk at the back of your venue, have a look at the stage, if there is a stage. If there's someone else who is speaking before you, you go early. Listen to what he's saying. See how the audience is reacting. So all these things will help you to relax. Thirdly, You must portray an air of confidence. When you go to speak, you must show that you are confident. Even though internally you are anxious, butterflies are there, they're flying all over the show. Even though you've been to toilet or the washroom 3 times before your speech, that happens. But the audience doesn't know that. Do they know it? They don't know it. So when you come, you must come with an air of confidence. You must come in if you are walking to the stage or the podium, audience is there, you come there, walk briskly, give them a broad smile, show them that you are happy that they are here and they are happy that you are here. Confident. Don't come like this. Now you're giving a talk. Now you're coming like this. Now the audience is there. I am so sorry. I don't know why IPCI called me to give this talk. This is my first talk. Please make dua for me. Doesn't help. Show an air of confidence. Right? So even though you are nervous, the audience doesn't know that you are nervous. Right? So show confidence. Right? Pace. Speak slowly and deliberately. When a person is nervous, how does he or she speak? Fast. Right? Person speaks fast. So you must speak slowly, clearly, deliberately. That also relaxes you. Fifthly, practice. You have to practice your speech over and over and over again. It is said, the pain is in the training and the glory is in the race. When you're putting in the long hours, that's when the pain is. What did Muhammad Ali say? Muhammad Ali stated that I hated every minute of my training, but I knew that one day I'm going to be the champion and then I'm going to enjoy myself. Right? So the pain is in the training and the gain is, the glory is in the race itself. Now when you speak, you're confident, you stand up here, the audience are acceptable, amenable to what you're saying, you're getting through to them, you feel happy. Number 6, pause. Pause deliberately to capture the attention and to take charge. When we speak, we don't just speak fast, without stopping in between, without pausing. Deliberately, you have to pause. If I have time later, I'll show you. Give you some examples. So if I'm speaking to you, and if I'm making a point, then I would stop. And then proceed. So when I stop, what happens? What happens? It creates interest, right? And also calms you down, because now when you are anxious, you are speaking fast. So why speak fast? Slow yourself down. Slow yourself down deliberately. But this comes with practice. Prepare. Always be prepared. Because we said one of the reasons why a person is anxious is because the person is not prepared. So the answer you have to be prepared. How do you practice? How do you get prepared? Some of the ways are the following. After you've written out your speech, read it out, stand in front of a mirror, even if it's a full wall mirror, stand in front of the mirror and say your speech in front of the mirror, like how when you were in school you used to do, right? So that's one. Secondly, say your speech and record it on a tape recorder, and then listen to that speech that you have made. You'll be surprised. Sometimes you might not even recognize your own voice, right? Because we don't know. When I'm speaking, I'm not hearing really. So when you listen to the audio recording, then you'll see all the mistakes you are making. Sometimes, as the brother said, how do you know whether you're repeating yourself? So when you're listening to that audio recording, then you can hear that you are repeating yourself unnecessarily. Another thing, one of the problems that we have also from time to time is that we use non-words or crutch words. Non-words, yes, you know what I mean. So repeatedly the person is using these words which don't mean anything. Now how do you know whether you're using those words? When you are listening to it on the tape, right? Other way of practicing is Video yourself or get someone to video you. So you're delivering your presentation, stand in front of the video recorder, record yourself or get someone to record it, and then play back the tape recording, video recording, so you can see whether you're improving or not. Don't just prepare and then go and stand for the first time in front of the audience. That's when people get very nervous. The more practice you put in, the more perfect you become. Agree? I'm showing you all things, simple things that we all can implement. Right? So these are the 7 P's, but I'm going to show you another dozen or so other ways. So what are the du'as? Some of the du'as that you can read. It's here in your book, so you don't have to take it down. One is, Rabbi zidni ilma. Oh my Rabb, increase me in knowledge. So when you're commencing, either you can read it to yourself or you can read it aloud. The other one that I had read, قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. That was the dua of Musa alayhi salam. Oh my Rabb, expand for me my chest, ease my task for me, and remove the impediment from my speech so that they may understand what I said. The brother who said that you got a problem with stuttering. Musa alayhi salam had a problem with his speech. When he was young, he had something hot he put in his mouth, and therefore from then onwards he had a problem in speaking. So he made this dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can learn this dua. Right. Other duas you will find, Allahumma fa'ani bima 'allamtani wa 'allimni ma yanfa'uni wa zidni ilma. Oh Allah, benefit me with what you have taught me. Teach me that which benefit me and increase me in knowledge. Very powerful. Right. Then Nabi Muhammad taught us the following dua when we find something difficult. So now in public speaking, we're getting anxious.